Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Diane. Today I'm sharing with you my diary entry for the weeks of October 15th to the 4th. I think so. I think it's been that long. Today is Saturday, November 4th. So, it's been a while. If you hadn't seen my posts on my community tab, my mother had a medical emergency a few weeks ago, and she was in the hospital for over a week, and it was scary. It was scary. We were at the hospital a lot, and I just needed to focus on that, so I haven't filmed any videos in a really long time. I'll get more into all of that at the end of the video, but it's been a while and I need to catch you up on all the things that I've read since I talked to you last. I do have a few things that I completed. I'm in the middle of a couple of things. I actually have some knitting to share with you, and then we'll do the whole life catch-up at the end. So let's get started. So I think the last time I talked to you, I was telling you I was in the middle of these two books, so let's talk about those first. I finished Buzzfeed Unsolved Supernatural, 101 True Tales of Hauntings, Demons, and the Paranormal by Ryan Bergara and Shane Madej. So this is a bunch of 2 or 3 page stories about haunted places, and it's broken down in sections like haunted houses and hellish hotels, eerie institutions, devilish drunkeries, grisly grounds, nautical nightmares, scary cemeteries, paranormal paths, and ghostly towns. Some of the places in here Ryan and Shane did visit on Buzzfeed Unsolved Supernatural, and some of the places in here they actually haven't visited. So it was really interesting to hear them talk about not only the places that they visited, but the places that they hadn't visited. And I listened to almost all of this on audio. I finished up the last couple chapters physically, but it was really enjoyable. I definitely recommend this if you're into, like, you know, those ghost hunting type of shows. I recommend that you watch Buzzfeed Unsolved Supernatural. Ryan and Shane are no longer doing Buzzfeed, but they have their own channel called Watcher, where they have a similar show called Ghost Files, and I enjoy watching them do that as well. And yeah, very, very much them. You get a little bit of the historical background from the third narrator, and then you get the little quips from Ryan and Shane, and it's just a really, really enjoyable and entertaining read, and I really, really enjoyed this one. I think I gave this one like 5 stars. It was a little bit generous of me with the rating, but it was really enjoyable. I had a great time listening to them. And like I said, I recognized a lot of the places from seeing them visit it and seeing other people visit it. And there were even a couple of places that I knew about. One that was in Hawaii that they talked about. And it was just really enjoyable. I'm really glad that I read this year. And so, yes, highly recommend that one. And then I also finished Kingdom Keepers, Disney at Dawn by Ridley Pearson. This is the second book in the Kingdom Keepers series. And in this one, we're following our kids who were hired to be the holographic models for the Disney parks. And they stumble across a plan that Maleficent is trying to hatch to release her master. And I think that's all I'm going to say, because if I tell you who her master is, that's kind of a spoiler because you don't find out until later. But yes, really enjoyed this one. Not as much as the first one, if I'm honest. There were a couple of things in here that, I don't know, I just didn't quite enjoy, just because there was some, like, I don't know, like discourse between the members. There was a little bit of it, and I didn't enjoy that. But I did enjoy the, like, settings, because we're mostly in Animal Kingdom in this one, whereas in the first one we were in Magic Kingdom. And these are the Florida parks, not the California parks, just for clarity. And so with me being more freshly refamiliarized with the maps of those parks, it gave me a little bit more of a, you know, enjoyment factor knowing where they were going, because I had just been there earlier this year. And so, yeah, same thing with the first one. When I had read that one the first time, we were on our very first trip at Walt Disney World. So that was really fun as well. Highly recommend. But yeah, we're mostly in Animal Kingdom here. We did have a couple of points where we were in the Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. And so that was fun as well. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I think I gave this one 4 stars. And I'll definitely be continuing with this one because I enjoy like the setting and seeing them romp around all the different parks and things. And I also like seeing what our villains are up to. And so that was really interesting. It's like, you know, the Disney villains come to life kind of thing. And it's really fun. And I enjoyed it. So definitely enjoyed that one. And then I read Fullmetal Alchemist because I read this for our Monochrome Manga Club. Really enjoying this series read. First time reading it, though I have seen the anime adaptations. In this one, we get something in regards to this eyeball with the kind of hand threads there. Really interesting stuff happening in this one. And I really enjoyed it. So I think I gave that one 4 stars. And then I picked up The Fear Zone, which is the first book in the Fear Zone series by K.R. Alexander. So obviously there's a clown there on the cover. So this one follows a group of kids who get notes telling them to come to a cemetery at midnight, and they think that it's just a joke. But they all show up there, and then they start getting terrorized by this clown. And all of the kids are like, well, not all of them, but like 2 of them are, you know, best friends, and then the rest of them, they don't hang out together at school, but they go to the same school. And so it kind of like brings the group of them together to figure out what's going on and, you know, solve the situation. And so I listened to this one entirely on audiobook. I actually listened to most of it while I was sitting in the emergency room waiting to find out what was happening with my mom. So obviously I was a little bit distracted. And it was okay. This is a middle grade horror book. I do enjoy K.R. Alexander's writing. And this one, I think, would have worked better for me if I had read it in print, just because the audiobook has multiple narrators, so there's a different narrator for each character. And when the clown character is talking during each section, they didn't have somebody come in and narrate the clown. So the clown sounds different in every section, depending on who's narrating that section. But yeah, that kind of took away from the experience for me. But the clown is pretty creepy, especially if you've got an aversion to clowns. It would definitely be creepy, and this clown definitely looks creepy. But yeah, it didn't really creep me out. It was a good like mystery. I enjoyed finding out how this all happened and all of that, and it definitely plays into their fears because it's about the fear zone. And so I was interested to see their fears kind of come to life and terrorize them, and see how certain fears terrorize them, because certain ones of them I was just like, how is that gonna but I thought it was done really well. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite of the K.R. Alexander's work. I would say at this point I've read 3 K.R. Alexander books. The first one I read was Bury Me. The second one I read was Vacancy, and then I read this one. I still think Vacancy is my favorite of the 3 so far. That one has to do with like a haunted hotel, which is kind of my thing. But this one was still enjoyable. I definitely recommend it if you are someone who doesn't like really scary horror, this one would definitely work for you, I think, because it's more mysterious than scary. Or if you've got kids, you know, in the age range of maybe like, I don't know, 10 to 12 years old probably, I think this would work really well for them also. And yeah, I enjoyed this one, 3 stars. And then I followed that one up with The Fear Zone 2, which is the sequel. Follow the same group of kids a couple of years later, and something happens to them again. And so yeah, that one I didn't enjoy as much as The Fear Zone, just because they're older in that one. They fight a lot with each other in that one, which is not something that they had done in the previous installment. But in the second installment, there's a lot more discourse between them, and it, you know, teenage kids fighting with each other kind of gets irritating after a while. So I didn't enjoy that one too much, but I think the story was good. It was interesting to see how they figure out what's going on and everything like that, because the things that happened in the first installment aren't the same things that happen in the second. There are definitely different things going on in the second. And like I said, they're a little bit older. They've got more kind of opinions on things, and they're more comfortable with each other now that they've been friends for a couple of years, kind of, you know, stating their minds with each other. Whereas in the first one, only 2 of them were best friends. And so, you know, they were kind of all getting to know each other at that time. But yeah, I still gave the second one 3 stars. My favorite one is still Vacancy of K.R. Alexander's works, but I do have a lot more of K.R. Alexander's works to read, and I'm still really interested in everything that I've picked up from them. So that is everything that I completed. Now, technically, I completed The Fear Zone 2 in November. I completed that one in the early hours, so just after midnight of November 1st. But I'm going to count that in October because it kind of just like goes with the rest of the vibe. And I would say that The Fear Zone and The Fear Zone 2 would be counted for Hallowtween, which is a readathon that my friends Storm Reads, Dark Roots Creations, and Soul Stain Inked were hosting throughout the month about tween horror books. And so yeah, I'm really glad that I read those. And so yeah, overall October reading was not as great as I was hoping it was going to be, but you know, life kind of took a turn and everything is much better now. So I'm looking forward to this month in November and getting kind of back to normal. But yeah, like I said, we'll talk about that more at the end. I'm currently in the middle of 2 books. I am currently reading Solo Leveling Volume 4 by Trugong. So you know that I've raved about this series a few times on my channel. I'm reading the light novel edition, and I'm listening to it via audiobook that's being narrated by Ki-Hong Lee, who is Minho in the Maze Runner movies, and he does a really, really great job. I'm having a lot of fun revisiting this world. We're in the middle of a political situation between Japan and Korea at the moment, and I just stopped in the middle of a big fight scene. And so, yes, really, really enjoying this. And it was about this time last year that I read volumes 2 and 3, and then I haven't read another one since. So I'm really enjoying getting back into this world. If you don't remember, this one follows our low-level hunter Jin Woo-sung, and he is a low-level demon hunter at the beginning of the series, and he ends up going in to clear out this dungeon with a bunch of other demon hunters, because in this world dungeons show up and they're full of monsters, and so they've got to clear them out. And so he goes in and clears out the dungeon, but it ends up being a super rare double dungeon, and the second dungeon is super high level, and the group that he's with is not at the level they need to be to clear that out. But they have no choice but to try, because they've left the dungeon for so long that if they don't, the demons will come out and start wreaking havoc onto society. So they go in, they do their best. Almost the entire team gets obliterated. And just before Jinwoo gets struck down, a video game message comes up in front of his face and says, "Would you like to be a player?" And so with nothing left to lose, he decides to accept, and it kind of changes his life. He starts playing this video game in his head where he's given missions and things to like level himself up. And as he's leveling up in the game, he's also leveling up his talents as a demon hunter in real life. And so it's been really, really interesting. And he's pretty strong where we are here now. And like I said, I stopped right in the middle of a big fight and a political situation, and it's just really interesting. And I'm really looking forward to getting back to this one. So this is my like lunchtime audiobook. And then for my TBR game last month, I did go ahead and start The Haunted Bookstore, Gateway to a Parallel Universe, Volume 1 by Shinobu Maru. This one's published by 7 Seas, rated teen. So this one is about a girl named Kaori, and she was found in the spirit realm when she was a kid, and she was taken in by someone and raised in the spirit realm. And they are owners of the only bookstore in the realm, and so she's like going about her life, you know, helping her dad out, her adoptive father out at the bookstore. But she also has a part-time job in the real world, and so she kind of goes back and forth between the spirit realm and the real world. And then one day a teenage boy ends up in the spirit realm, and he happens to be an exorcist, and he's badly wounded, and Kaori and her dad take him in, and he has a mission. That's kind of why he's there. And he also has a prejudice against spirits because he's an exorcist. And so it's kind of all of them getting to know each other and trying to teach this high school boy, what's his name? I always want to say Shumai. It's Suime. Suime. You know, that not all the spirits are bad. And so at this point where I am, he's slowly learning that. I've just found out what his mission is. Just a brief explanation as to why he's there, or why he wanted to get there in the first place. And so, yeah. I'm enjoying this one. It's a slow read for me, though. I can't read more than a couple pages without it putting me to sleep, which is a little bit upsetting because I thought this was going to be a really interesting read for me. And it is entertaining, but it almost feels too slice of life-ish for me. It's too much day-to-day. There's not enough mystery and intrigue in the story to, like, propel me. And so I've been finding myself stopping in the middle of chapters, only getting 2 or 3 pages in before I'm like too tired to read anymore, and things like that. But I'm not sure if it's because of the story or if it's because what's going on in my life right now. And so, yeah, in fact, I just stopped in the middle of a chapter again. I'm on page 113 of chapter... Oh, there's no chapter numbers. It just says it's a side story. So, yeah, it's... The way this is kind of formatted is a little bit strange. A lot of it has to do with the patrons of this bookstore, which kind of runs more like a library to me. They haven't really sold any books so far throughout the pages that I've read, but they have lended books to others. And in both of the first 2 chapters, Kaori actually delivers books to one person and then helps to deliver books to another person. And so, yeah, it's it's not really a bookstore. It's not really running as a bookstore yet. It's more like a library. The characters that we have met are interesting. I'm finding that I'm interested in finding out more about how Kaori got to the spirit realm. We got a little glimpse of that just in the last couple pages also. And so yeah, I'm slowly getting through this. This one is a pretty slow read. Unfortunately, not as compelling as I thought it was going to be. And this one is definitely not like Malevolent Spirits Monogatari, the manga that we had read for the Monochrome Manga Club. I thought that the Exorcist character was going to be a little bit more like the character in that manga series because of, you know, the way he views the spirits. But he's not really that salty as the other character from Malevolent Spirits. But he's still a teenage boy. So at times he still like lashes out and stuff. But you kind of don't understand why, because he's keeping his cards really close to his chest. And only within like the last 2 pages have we found out why that is. And so, yeah. I'm going to continue reading this one. It's not bad by any means. It's just not the normal type of story that I usually read. And it's definitely not the type of story I thought it was when I picked it up. But still interesting. I do wish this one was on audiobook though, because I think it would go a lot faster for me if it was. But it's kind of slow going. But still enjoyable. So I'm going to continue with this one. And it fits well with my light novel November plans. So yes. And that is everything that I am currently reading. That's everything that I've read. So let's get into a bit of a knitting update. So, I spent a lot of time at a hospital. And so, I've got a bit of a knitting update to share with you. I did work on my Mostly Ghostly while I was waiting in the emergency room. And I didn't like realize my only thought when like going to take my mom to the hospital or the emergency room was I need something to keep my hands busy. That was my only thought. So I picked up, you know, the project that I was working on. But while I was sitting in the emergency room, I kept thinking, this might not have been a good idea because, you know, well, I don't know about you, but I can attach feelings or occasions to projects that I'm working on at the time. So like, you know, when I went on vacation to Florida earlier this year, I had my Muppet socks, right? And so it's kind of a commemorative project. It helps me to remember that trip. And so I was like, if this, you know, emergency room visit goes really bad, I'm going to have that memory attached to this sweater. So it probably wasn't the best idea to take this one. Thankfully, everything is fine now. Well, not everything is fine, but we're in a good place right now. And so it worked out to my advantage. But had things took a turn for the worse, I probably would not have finished this sweater, if I'm honest. I probably would have started another one. But I did get a lot of knitting done. My mom was in the emergency room for a very, very long time. And then she was in the hospital for 8 days. So, Mostly Ghostly. This is in the Fall Favorites collection pattern by Megan Regan of the Bad Wolf Girl Studios. Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits, I believe is her podcast. And so, yes, really, really enjoying that still. Oh my goodness, so much fabric. Was here when I talked to you last. So, I am now here. And guess what? I am ready to start my ribbing. So, I am almost done with the body. I just finished up the last rows of the body this week. So I will be starting the ribbing on the body, so I'm almost done there, and then I will just need to put on the sleeves and I will be done. So got a lot of nice work in on this. Very, very happy with it. Got a lot of people asking me what I was knitting on while I was in the emergency room. They were just really amazed. And I think it looks great. So yes, very, very happy. I just dug into another ball of this. So this is the Superwash Merino yarn from Lion Brand. It's 100% Superwash Merino. If you haven't tried this yarn, I definitely recommend it. It's really, really soft. I have used it in a couple of projects now, really enjoy it, and it's very inexpensive, especially if you get it on a sale. So definitely try this one out if you're interested. So that is the color charcoal. So that's the majority of my yarn. And then for the Tealy accents, this is kind of their newer label. Same yarn. Lion Brand, 100% Superwash Merino. These are DK weight yarns, by the way. This color is Sage. Then I have this color in Ice, which is kind of like a light blue gray. And then for the Ghosts, I actually doubled up a fingering weight yarn, 2 fingering weight yarns. So I have this white sock yarn from Knit Picks. It's their, oh actually it's Cascade. Not Knit Picks, it's Cascade yarn. It's just a Snow White Cascade yarn. And then I held it double with this Gertz Glow House yarn, so it's glow in the dark yarn. This one is 100% polyester though, but I thought for the Ghosts, plus because I'm holding it double with the Superwash wool, it should be fine. So that's what I did for the Ghosts. So I haven't actually tested to see what it looks like, but I have faith. So that is what I have done since on that project since I talked to you last. I do have another project to share with you though. I'm going to have to put this on hold for a little bit because we just found out that my mom's boss will need to have some chemotherapy. And so I wanted to knit him a hat, and he is going to be out of work for starting a week after next, I think. So I need to get this hat done like this week or as soon as possible. And so I have it in this bag. This is a turtle bag from Utterly Adorable Creations. You know, or Utterly Adorable Knits. So you know I bought a lot of their bags. And I think I bought this one last Black Friday. It was during one of their sales. I believe this is their medium size bag, box bottom and everything like that. And so I have started a hat, and it's not very much, but I've done this much so far. So you can kind of see that it's like charcoal and blue micro striped. So I'm working this out of some leftovers I had. This is Knit Picks City Tweed DK. So the dark charcoal color is called Obsidian. And then I believe the more like blue color, this one's called Porpoise. These are leftovers from my mom's, I can't remember the name of it. It was a Bakery Bears pattern. Dobbinwood, was it the Dobbinwood? I think it was like a throw, or can't remember what she called it, but it's not a sweater, it's not a shawl, but it wears like a sweater and it is not a shawl. So it's a Dobbinwood. I had these leftovers, and so he likes to wear a lot of blue, and so I thought that these two colors would work great. And it feels really nice. It's got some tweed in there. The Nitpick City tweed is 55% merino wool, 25% superfine alpaca, 20% Donegal tweed. So it's a DK weight yarn, and I really like it so far. And this hat just feels like super silky, and I think with the alpaca and the fact that, you know, it's getting colder, it might be really nice to wear. And so the hat pattern I am working is called the Spiral Squarecase hat. So this one is by Catherine Odell of Rebel Sheep Designs. You kind of can't see, but the way that the decreases are done on the crown is like more like, makes the top look more square shaped. So that's why it's called Spiral Square Shape. I did change the ribbing on the bottom just a little bit. The pattern actually calls for corrugated ribbing, and I thought with the very, very little difference between the two colors, you couldn't really tell that there would be corrugated ribbing, and so I didn't want to waste my time doing the corrugated ribbing, because corrugated ribbing does take a little bit more time for me. And it's not a thing that I had done in the past, so this would have been my first time doing it. And just getting it all set up and everything, I did try, and it was just, it took a really long time. It took a really long time, and I was just like, this is not going to work. You know, I'm on a short amount of time, and so we're just going to do what I normally do. And so I just did a long tail cast on. That's what I normally do for most of the projects that I work. Sometimes I do a cable cast on, but more often than not, it's long tail cast on. So I did long tail cast on. I did 7 rows of regular 1x1 ribbing instead of the 1x1 corrugated ribbing that was requested, and then continued on my way. So I need to make this, I think, 6.5 inches from the cast on edge. So I've got a bit more to go, but you can definitely see more of the blue and black stripes on camera here with the brighter light than when I am working on it. But I am working this one as helical stripes. Now, again, this is a technique that I have used in the past, but I haven't used it like successfully because the project that I was using it in, I got stuck with, and I just can't figure it out with the decreases and the increases and things like that. So I'm going to try that again with this one and see how that goes. So far so good. The helical knitting is, you know, making it really, really nice, and no jog inside for where the color changes are happening. But we'll see what happens when I start getting to those crown decreases. But so far so good, just going round and round in, you know, 1x1 stripes, and trying to follow along with the helical changing and things. And so far, I mean, it's easy. It's not causing me any problems. The problem I have is when I start getting to the decreases. So we'll see how that goes, but really, really liking how this looks, and it feels really nice as well. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that he will like this. And so I really want to get that done for him before he stops working for his chemo. So yeah, that's everything that I've read, everything that I am knitting. And so yeah, we are in November. Time to start, you know, gearing up for Advent season and all of that, which I was thinking about the fact that I have to, like, you know, get all of my stuff ready for my Advent sweater that I wanted to do this year, because I'll be starting to open my Advent calendar, I believe, in a little over 2 weeks after you're seeing this video. So yeah, it's not a lot of time. Not a lot of time. So yeah, my mom went into the hospital, but before that, I was notified by my job that they were taking away my health benefits. this has to do with the fact that my company got bought by a bigger company, and I've had separate health insurance from the bigger company's employees. And there was an issue with it over the last couple of months, and they just told me that I need to move to the bigger company's health plan now, and that because of that I would have to pay out of pocket, that they're no longer going to cover my health benefits, which when I got hired for my job over 20 years ago, health benefits was part of my hiring package. Like, it was provided for me. And it's a little bit strange because I do still work for the same people, but they got bought by a bigger company, and now we're having to do with the bigger company. So I'm a little bit stressed out about that, because the health insurance is going to be a big financial strain, because I am still, you know, covering myself and my daughter. But not only that, health insurance premiums are ridiculous with the bigger company's health plan. That's also why I've had separate health insurance, was because my plan, my current plan, is much cheaper. But now I'm having to move to their health plan, which is much more expensive, and I have to pay out of pocket for it. And so I'm pretty irritated. I don't know how I'm going to fix this yet. And so that there was that strain. And then 2 days after I had gotten that, not even 2 days, like 1 full day and a few hours, because my mom went into the emergency room at 2 o'clock in the morning. My mom went into the emergency room. And so we were there at emergency from 2 a.m. to about 10 a.m. And then they admitted her to the hospital. And then she was in the hospital from Saturday to Saturday. So she was let go Saturday night, and she was able to come home Saturday night. So she's been home for a week now, a full week, and it's been good. She's got a lot more of her energy back. But being in the hospital, I was very, very concerned. And I don't have good experiences with doctors on a good day, but these doctors just wouldn't listen to me and my concerns and things like that. And I still don't know that she's got the right diagnosis, but yeah, we're working with what we got right now. So the diagnosis in general, not in specifics, but in general, is that she has a heart condition that we were unaware of. And there were complications because she also had an infection, which we were unaware of. And they also said she had pneumonia, which we also were unaware of. My mom had no symptoms of an infection, of any illness, or anything like that prior to going to the hospital. So I don't know. I don't know. They were treating her for the infection and the pneumonia. She was bedridden for almost the entire time she was at the hospital. I think they let her out of bed once or twice, but not for a long period of time. And so she's gaining back her strength. She also has a mass in front of her heart, which we just got the results for. They say it's not malignant, but we need to keep an eye on that. So it's kind of an ongoing thing. But we are in a good place. We are in a good place. Everything is looking up as far as that goes. And so, yes, definitely much happier that she's home. She's happier that she was home. She was miserable when she was in the hospital. And it was very concerning. It was very concerning. We have never really had that hospital-like experience. Even when my mom had, her surgery for breast cancer, I wasn't with her at the hospital because my daughter was an infant at that time, and so I didn't feel comfortable taking an infant into the hospital where there's all of these illnesses and stuff going on, right? And so my mom basically went in, had her surgery, stayed overnight, and then I picked her up the next day. So she didn't stay for very long. And then she had another procedure for something else a few years ago, And again, she went in, had the procedure, stayed overnight, and came home. So we haven't really had anybody in our family have extended amounts of stay in hospital. And so this was all like a new experience for me, which added to my stress because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, you know, how things worked as far as the bed, or, you know, how do you call a nurse, and, you know, things like that. How often do they come in to check? And so it was a lot. It was a lot. But I guess we should be fortunate that we haven't had family members have extended stays in hospitals. But yeah, everything's kind of looking up more in that area. I'm still having to deal with my whole issue with my health insurance. But yeah, the other stuff so far is much better. And then my coworker, who is pretty much the only other person that works with me, is having surgery. She's having a knee replacement, and she's been talking about this for over a year now, and she's actually going to be having her surgery at the beginning of December. So what that means is that she is not going to be there during our busiest month of the year. So I am going to have to take over her job as well as what I usually do during our busiest month of the year this year. And I'm a little bit freaked out because I have almost too much work to do in December myself. And having to add her workload to mine is frightening. It's frightening. It's causing me a bit more stress. So with that on top of this whole thing that's going on with my health insurance, but just with everything, I'm a bit overwhelmed with life at the moment. I'm a bit overwhelmed. And so I'm not quite sure. Like, I don't want to be spending so much time filming as much as I used to, but I don't know which videos to not do, at least for the next like couple months, because things are just busy for me personally, professionally, and you know, I need to find something to like cut. And so I definitely don't want to cut doing all my videos, but I just need to cut back a couple of videos. So I need to figure out which videos to not do. And it may be the end of month wax wrap-ups and the end of month reading wrap-ups, because technically those are recaps of other videos that I've already done. And so I feel like those would be the most smart videos to cut. But if you have an opinion on which videos you think are least important to you, or the videos that you don't watch from me, let me know, because I'd be interested to know. I obviously don't want to not do a video that you're interested in if I can help it, but it would be interesting for me to know, interesting and informational for me to know, if there are any videos that you think are least important of the ones that you watch for me. I would really appreciate that feedback. So yeah, lots of fun and exciting things coming up though. Definitely gearing up for that Advent project. I'm really excited for it. I've been really getting back into watching a lot of yarn podcasts, which is helping me with my mojo. And yeah, if those other irritants of my life could just like work themselves out, that would be great. But I am a little bit overwhelmed with life at the moment. And so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, but I'm really glad that I was able to sit down and talk to you about what I've been reading, even though my reading has definitely slowed down over the last few weeks, just with everything that was going on and things like that. But hopefully I'll have a little bit more reading mojo this month, and I am going on my annual vacation during Thanksgiving, and so I'm really looking forward to that as well. It'll give me the chance to like recharge and things like that. That's what that vacation every year is for, to recharge before our busiest month of the year. And so I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm really feeling the need for it this year, more so than any other year. Even though every year I'm like, I need that vacation. I need it. This year, I definitely need it with everything that just happened and things that are still being ironed out. I need it. So really looking forward to that. But I'm going to stop going on and on and on. I think they call it waffling in Great Britain. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got to catch you up on since I've been gone. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below what you've been up to. I missed chatting with you guys. Let me know how you finished out in October. What was your favorite read of October, or your least favorite read of October? I'd really love to know. Let me know what readathons you're participating in November as well. I'd love to know that also. And if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a turtle emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.